Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews, an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 15 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. Well, we're meeting with Ed Quinlan, the president of Chem-Dry, the world's leading carpet and upholstery cleaning service. And since its launch in 1977, Chem-Dry has become the recognized market leader by building a robust network of 1,800 franchises across the country. And most recently, the brand was recognized as one of the top 500 franchises in Entrepreneurs Franchise 500. We're going to talk to Ed about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com. Or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you're listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 15 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. Well, we're meeting with Ed Quinlan, the president of Chem-Dry, the world's leading carpet and upholstery cleaning service. And since its launch in 1977, Chem-Dry has become the recognized market leader by building a robust network of 1,800 franchises across the country. Hi, Ed. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Doing great. Sure good to be with you, Marty.
Oh, thank you. This is my pleasure, Ed. We always like to ask our guests, where are you calling from today, Ed?
I am calling from beautiful Logan, Utah.
Oh, fantastic. And it is beautiful there, isn't it?
Oh, it is. We're high in the mountains, right here on the edge of the Rocky Mountains, and we got a giant snowstorm yesterday.
You're kidding.
So, you know, yeah, just when we thought we had spring, it manages to snow on us. But, you know, I'm sure we're not the only place.
Oh, that is so funny. It's the same in Pennsylvania, Ed. It's funny. Like I was just saying, last week, I mean, we had the fireplace on, and then we're back to the air conditioner. So it's like you just never know. Do you?
That's right.
It's fantastic. But I mean, it's really great to have you on this show. We had Chem-Dry on the podcast. We've been doing it 15 years now. I think it was about maybe a decade ago. And when we talk about the history of Chem-Dry, I know we can't talk about the history in one show because, I mean, it's so long, but I thought, maybe, we could talk about some of like the key milestones in the brand's history.
Yeah, 45-year brand. We'll celebrate amazing. 45 years this year, which is
that's great. Congratulations.
Pretty amazing, pretty remarkable. Well, and, the brand was founded on a culture of innovation, and we've really tried to keep that at the forefront for us. Do something unique in the market from a carpet cleaning standpoint, empower our franchisees with something special and unique that really sets them apart in the marketplace. And that has really helped our franchisees from day one. And then just a willingness to change and adapt and evolve to make sure we're always at the forefront of the industry for our franchisees. That's been key. You talk about some key milestones. When I look back, there's been some key pivotal pieces for us through our through our tenured history, and the franchise network grew on basic carpet cleaning, and then it was about 25 years ago we evolved into largely a truck mount operation where the majority of our franchisees have truck mount machines, which are the sort of elevated performance tool. And that really helped the network explode, I think, in the marketplace because it set us apart and put us back again at the cutting edge and at the front. About 5 years ago was a big milestone as we expanded our services. And what our franchisees were learning is, they go into the home and they could clean carpet, but they kept walking over tile or wood floors or these other surfaces.
Right.
And, why not take care of those as well? So, today a franchisee can offer not just the carpet and upholstery, but also the wood floors and the stone floors and the granite countertops and the, tile and all that, LVT, all those new materials out there, helping our franchisees be experts at that. That's been a big shift in the last 5 years, and it's helped our franchisees command more market share of those additional services and keep their customers more loyal. It's actually increased the customer satisfaction, which has been a huge win for everybody. This year marks for us a really big milestone as the brand introduced a brand marketing fund. And, in franchising, that's a big deal for a 45-year-old brand to introduce a national ad campaign like this. And, we like to think Chem-Dry has been the world's best kept secret, and it's time to let that secret out. And I think our franchisees will benefit from that.
Seems like to me, Chem-Dry, there's a culture, I guess, at Chem-Dry. It seems to me like in studying your history, Chem-Dry has always been ahead of the curve, as far as looking at other people in your industry. You're talking about like the truck mounts. That saves. That's a great benefit to your franchisees, as you were saying, isn't it? I must like lugging those carpet cleaners like the old models, up maybe 2 or 3 floors sometimes. That could be pretty heavy, couldn't it? So it just makes it easier on your franchisees.
Really hard. Yeah, easier on the owner operator, easier on the technician. It also improves the performance, so we're able to get cutting edge performance while making it easier for the franchisee. I call that a win-win.
Right, sure. Was COVID a part of? Would you say COVID was part of the history, Ed? I hate to use the word opportunity. You know what I mean? But I just feel like in your business, that more people would be interested in Chem-Dry service.
Absolutely. I think if you were to look at COVID, there's maybe a couple of lenses to look at it with, and there's certainly, and I hate the word challenge because I love the word opportunity, and I like to think of obstacles more as opportunities for us to either improve ourselves or improve the things that we can control. There were a lot of things with COVID that we couldn't control, and so like many businesses and many industries, especially home services, the idea of letting someone in your home when you don't dare go out. We had a couple of months that were really, really tough. But those months, I tell you, the team, it wasn't just the franchisor team, which did a remarkable job. We have our own in-house R&D department, which is really, really unique as a franchisor. I have on-staff chemists. We have our own lab. It's a great the level of quality control you have when you have, right from the beginning. And during COVID, not only leverage our in-house team and staff to help us innovate, but also partnering with franchisees to say, hey, and do some testing on what might the market respond to as we go through this. Think about how COVID in 2020, March of 2020, the shutdown started.
Right.
By the middle of April, we had introduced a new sanitizing service to our franchisees that they could launch out and ensure that they were considered an essential business, right? So that was pivotal for our franchisees and really helped them stay in business and go out and get work. And by July of that year, we had introduced what we call Micro Pro Shield, which is a sanitizing, a spray service, and go in and spray with a 90-day residual antimicrobial component to it, which is pretty awesome. And launching that so quickly, I tell you, what a great way to empower franchisees to get through a tough time and come out in a better position. And the general market right now, and I think the forecast is for about the next 10 years or so, the market is going to care more about clean than they did pre-COVID. So we're going to ride that natural wave and benefit from it. We want our franchisees to take advantage of that.
And it seems like the culture, too, is one of innovation, isn't it, Ed? It seems to me, and just going back even like 45 years ago, innovation has always been a part of the culture of Chem-Dry, hasn't it?
It really has. Robert Harris is our founder. We love the guy and very passionate and very innovative and thoughtful. And, the idea we're a carbonated cleaning system. And what that carbonation does is it lets us use less water than a traditional steam cleaner, about a fifth the water. That's a giant value add for the homeowner because they can, the carpets dry quicker. You can get back on the carpet. It doesn't leave a lot of water, especially in those warmer climates where they could become a breeding ground for mold and mildew, right? So there's a lot of reasons why our low moisture process is a win for the market. But Robert's idea came, he was on an airplane and someone spilled some coffee on their tie, right? And the stewardess comes out and she's like, let me grab some club soda and a little rag, and she uses, the power of carbonation, if you will, to help lift that stain out, and a little bit of moisture there too. So Robert's like, well, let's go back to the lab, and he, along with the chemist, come up with the carbonation. Today, our carbonating formula is called the Natural. It's a green certified product. It's our core cleaning solution, safe for kids and pets. It's a pretty great. In fact, we have 51 different green certified products available for our franchisees. So if a consumer wanted, they could get an entirely green carpet cleaning service. It's pretty. That's unheard of in the industry. Yeah.
And you mentioned green, Ed. I mean, it seems to me that Chem-Dry was into green before it was even cool to be into green, weren't they? That's what it seems like. You're really ahead. It's really fantastic.
That's right. We've been caring about natural and safe and non-toxic long before it was ever trendy to be green, and that was as the green culture came out, we're like, gosh, this is ironically who we are and who we've been, and a real quick, easy shift in marketing to highlight those messages for franchisees. But it didn't require us to go through some massive undertaking or brand modification. This ironic. The brand name is Chem-Dry, and I'll get this question. I'll be traveling and introduce somebody to the brand and talk to them, and they're like, Chem-Dry, what does Chem stand for? Right. I like to think that it's about nature's chemistry, and we're using chemistry and nature's chemistry to provide a better clean, a deeper clean. And that's really, if you think of 1977, that chem in chemistry really is where the foundation of the brand came from.
it's a great story. I just love talking about the history of Chem-Dry. And recently, you've been on the list before, but you've made the top 500 for entrepreneurs franchise 500 list, which is very impressive. What is all that attributed to, Ed? I mean, is it attributed to, of course, the strong brand name, of course, and Chem-Dry has a very strong system. I mean, so you have all the components of a great franchise. But what else is that attributed to?
Well, I think this brand is never willing to slow down and stop. Right? We never rest on our laurels. We're always thinking about what's next, what does the future look like, and with franchisees who've been in, I have some franchisees who've been in for all 45 years, still in the business, right?
That's incredible.
So we have a very tenured network, and I have new franchisees that we introduce every year. I think last year we did over 70 new licenses to the brand.
Wow.
So as we continue to grow the brand and bring new people in, it's important to balance making sure that our tenured franchisees have a good, solid business, and that new franchisees continue to see opportunity. And I'm sure any aging network always thinks of how do you help your franchisees who are looking to exit to make sure they're doing that profitably. So we're looking to do that so that when they transfer to a new owner, we want them to see a profitable exit. They bring a new person in, and that new person has the same ideals and values and care for customer satisfaction, high service standards, and and a good, strong work ethic to help push and take the brand forward even to a whole new level. So I feel like a lot of the conversations we have at Brand Leadership are not about what's going to happen tomorrow, but about what's going to happen in the next year, 3 years, 5 years, even 10 years down the road. Because I'd like to look back on these decisions and say, what we decided then was the right thing for us, not just then, but also for the future.
Right, absolutely. How's technology play a role with Chem-Dry today? Of course, it's much different, from 1977, Ed. But how's Chem-Dry using technology today?
I would bet a lot of franchisors out there who are of older brands would probably echo a lot of my sentiments, which are change is hard. And taking what we would say, I'll call them paper processes. They're not always paper, but more so very paper linear processes, and turning them into a more modern digital process. If there were any sort of two themes, I think one is don't be afraid of technology. It can be expensive, but I think when thought through and planned through in the bigger picture, and you pick and prioritize, against a bigger vision, it all comes together, which is I think really, really meaningful. And having your pieces speak together and knowing that you're going to want them to speak together right from the beginning helps you build with that intent. So technology and a vision around technology has really been powerful for us. From a franchisee standpoint, the technology been giantly helpful, not only because from an owner knowing their numbers, which is absolutely great, but there's an amazing amount of, can I call it, best practice implementation that we've been able to work into the technology. So whether you're in the home as a technician on a tablet, that tablet and the way it directs the technician and his interaction with the consumer is now able to be modeled after best practice, and that really helps the homeowner have the best experience for a deeper, better clean across all the surfaces they need. The technician have a more structured experience so he doesn't miss out on anything, make sure he's able to deliver to that high expectation. And now for the owner to track and manage that. I can also tell you from a corporate standpoint, it's really helped us because now we have a pulse on what's going on with the network rather than just sort of running a business by your gut. You always want data to help you make your decisions, not just your gut. And I feel like we're making better decisions because of technology. We've done a lot of technological programs at the headquarters and then also at the franchisee end. And I see the future is more and more automation. Every time I can, I'll share with you a quick example. We've been pushing online reviews. Home services, you can imagine reviews are a key part of a home services business. So getting customers to leave reviews. We, tried for years, hand out these flyers, give a customer a QR code on this or whatever. And we still have those tools, and they're slightly effective. But we found by partnering up with, we partnered up with a company called Review Trackers, which we automated with our CRM. And when the technician converts a work order into an invoice, the customer automatically gets a text message inviting them to leave a review.
Wow.
Right? And we've taught the technicians a little script around asking the customer to please leave a review, to expect the text message to show. And the amount of reviews we've been able to get is giantly increased because of that automation. Right?
Right.
And we do allow franchisees, if they have a different process they'd rather, they can opt out. But, by just building it into the standard system, our franchisees are getting more reviews than they've ever gotten before. And that's ultimately ending in more work for them. And so, a best practice built into automation is just a smart idea. So we'll be doing more and more and more of that over the next handful of years.
The technology is so exciting, and it's so impressive, isn't it? As I get older, it seems to impress me more what we can do today than a decade ago. It's so incredible, isn't it?
It is, and I think as stewards of data, it's just so important for us to to think about what's in the best interest of the consumer first and foremost. When it comes to all this technology, and then if we take care of the customer, and then let the technology help us do our jobs better, and let the technology help technician, in our specific business, the technician, then the owner, and then the franchisor, and sort of prioritize it around the customer. It's amazing what we can do with technology and really improve everybody in that funnel.
Two questions, Ed. One, you're part of a huge industry. I don't know what the numbers are in your industry, but I imagine that they're astronomical, because you think everybody has, carpet and everybody's really in need of your service. And how does Chem-Dry stand out in the industry?
Well, Chem-Dry is not only we're the largest by number of locations, but by market share. We're in about 11,000 homes a day. We're in we're in over 50 countries now. In fact, just a week and a half ago, we did a new flag raising at our Logan facility. We have a flag out front for every country that we're in. We raised a new flag for the country of Cyprus. So very excited to add them to our portfolio. And it's a beautiful thing to know. As I talk with new owners and new technicians in our training programs, it's beautiful to know that in the morning when you get up and you put on that Kelly green Chem-Dry shirt, that you're part of an army of healthy home experts going in and making homes healthier and safer for families and their kids and their pets and their grandkids. And it's just great to make an impact on our communities and to know that you're part of something big, and you're not just by yourself doing it, but you're part of this bigger initiative to make the world a better place. It's nice.
That's amazing. Tough question, Ed, but you've been with Chem-Dry since I think it was 2006. So it would probably be hard to narrow this down to one answer. But what's been one of the most interesting things that's happened to you since being part of this amazing brand?
I started in the marketing part of the company and helping franchisees learn how to market, and especially if you think about 2006, it was a lot about the conversion from old I'm going to say paper or print marketing into digital marketing. Right. And we put this amazing effort into helping franchisees learn how to do it themselves, and ultimately learned that we should probably offer our own offer up services to help franchisees just take care of it for them, and some big initiatives around that, so you can do it yourself or have it done for you. When I look back, there's something that has been so consistent for me, not just when I was in marketing. That's where I really started my connection with franchisees and helping learn how to connect them with best practices. And then I was asked to take over the operational side of the business. We call it franchise services, and I ran that for quite some time, and before being asked to become the brand president. And what I learned is, the entrepreneurial spirit is so strong and so beautiful, And when you get someone who has that entrepreneurial spirit and can give them a little list of some simple best practices to give them an edge in the market, it's amazing what can happen. And, so largely I have felt just this great opportunity that my job was to go find those best practices and build the relationships with these entrepreneurs, and then for us together to go push those initiatives forward for everybody's benefit. And it's I've really enjoyed that. There's been some big things we've been able to do by working together over the last decade and a half.
Right.
And I couldn't be more proud of that. Yeah.
Chem-Dry is probably, I would have to say, because I've done 800 of these podcasts, and I have to say, it's probably one of the oldest, 45-year history. It's really, it's so impressive. So probably a lot of people are asking, what strategies, have led to Chem-Dry's success. I think you've mentioned some of them, but anything else kind of stand out?
Yeah, I think so. I talked about innovation, but I think a close second to that is this idea of service excellence. And we really strive, because you can be innovative and that's great, but if you're not coming through on the service, I think in any service-related brand, whether it's a brick and mortar or whether it's a van-based business, the consumer experience is ultimately what matters the most. And did a consumer feel like they got value? And Chem-Dry from day one has been designed as a premium brand. It's just how we've been designed. So we've always known that we weren't necessarily going to we weren't going to be able to serve every home in the community just from that premium nature, right? There are people who are trying to be the cheapest, and we were never willing to lower our standards of clean or our quality, and we always felt like that standard of clean and efficacy needed to be matched with a level of service excellence, right? So that you got the whole package, not just the results, but you also got the experience. And our franchisees and technicians do a remarkable job. One of the programs we have in place, we call it the 5-Star Master Technician Program. And every new technician is invited to go through this program. And we ask every franchise owner to go through the same program and become 5-Star Master Technician certified. And they learn all of the science and the details and the expertise, because we can teach you how to run a machine, but ultimately if you understand all of the details behind it and, different carpet fiber types, and with this fiber treated this way, with that fiber treated another way, it's going to empower you to take better care of the customer. And while you might not deal with that on a daily basis, you're going to deal with it enough that it can make a difference. And ultimately, it means you're giving this level of service and expertise that the market really, really appreciates. And I think that's been one of the secrets, is matching service excellence with innovation. Because it's a service, customers have those questions too, I imagine, right, Ed? Oh yeah. People don't know, what you guys know. You're experts on this, and that certainly puts the customer at ease, doesn't it? Is when you're meeting with them for the first time, anyway. The second time around, I know there's a lot of repeat sales when it comes to Chem-Dry, but I think that's so important. And I'm thinking about like performance marks, that you've mentioned some of them. It's so impressive, that you've had franchisees that have been with you for decades. But are there any other like performance marks that are important to you, Ed? Well, I care a lot not only about the tenure of the franchise, the franchisees, but I also like to track year over year. And we don't only look at revenue. We ask our franchisees to track their revenue year over year. But we also look at their customer satisfaction scores, their expanded service, are they expanding services, and are they meeting the demands of the marketplace and leveraging those, we have a new program we rolled out just this year called Best of State, where franchisees who meet a higher standard across not only reviews, but also across the service offerings that they have and their customer satisfaction scores, they receive this moniker as being a Best of State finalist. Wow. And when you go to Chem-Dry.com, our corporate website, and see the franchisees in any given market, you can identify who's sort of that cream of the crop through some of those standards. And we're really pushing our franchisees and inviting them to, to meet the best that's out there,
right,
because we know it's going to help them long-term be more resilient in the marketplace.
You've worked with thousands of entrepreneurs over the years, and so when I have someone on the show like yourself, I have to ask you, what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise? Because you are an expert on franchising as well, and you know that there's a lot out there today. It seems like there's so many more categories and franchises. I think they say like there's something like 3,000 different systems out there today. I mean, from everything you've learned up to this point, what advice would you give to our listeners in their quest to buy a franchise?
Yeah, I think one piece of advice is don't chase trends. I think trends come and trends go. Mm-hmm. And so when you're looking at a business for you and your family and investment, think of something that is going to have some longevity, something that will have some stability. And not that some new franchise concepts can't have that, because they can if they're part of an industry that's stable, or that is an emerging industry with some long-term forecast. Right. But I'd avoid the things that look like they're like, oh, I wonder if that'll still be around in 5 years. That could be quite painful.
Yeah.
But I'd also say, as you're looking at opportunities, look at the team and the people, not just that are at corporate, because you'll care about that, because those are the people you're going to partner with and work with, and you want to know that they care about you. You want to know that they feel, as you're exploring franchise concepts, you want to know that they have your best interests in mind. Mm-hmm. And I think we've done a great job in Chem-Dry of partnering with our franchisees through our Franchise Advisory Council, through our training events and activities. And I think we really work to try and put our franchisees at the forefront of our decisions. But I also would then say, look at the franchisees you'll be working with, the neighboring franchisees, and who is in the market and representing that brand, because they will, even though they might be on another end of the country, they're representing you. And so, you go, hey, is this something I want to get into, and I'd like to be a part of that? Because ultimately it's all about the human experience, and you're trying to have this business give you a lifestyle, give you an opportunity, and improve your human experience, and hopefully you have this vision that your business is going to impact your community in a positive way, and that whether it's your employees that you hire, or whether it's the homes that you're in, or the products and services that you're giving as people come into your store, that you go, I'm making a difference. And who would have thought, when I first started at Chem-Dry, I'm like, how do you make carpet cleaning? I was in the marketing, and I'm like, how do you make carpet cleaning feel, have that zhuzh factor, right? And and the consumer research taught us about what they cared about, and making sure to have the crispness and that freshness, and told us what to do and how to say it. But there was this human component that I think our brand really got better when we realized it was about that human connection. And and we really integrated in our brand messaging about the impact, that human impact that we can have on the homes and the families. It's not just about having pretty, clean-looking carpets, but it's actually making the space better. And when we learned that, not only because we've always had the science around the health components and our impacts on the health of the space, but when we connected that with the consumer, it's amazing how that fused together in a really powerful way.
Right. It's such a powerful response, because it's interesting, when I asked the question, because I asked it about 800 times now, and it's interesting how often the word passion comes up, and they say, okay, we'll do something you're passionate about. And I see what you're saying is thinking of the human component of it, and the difference, as you said, is that you're making in the community or with the customers, and that's the joy that the franchisees get, isn't it?
That's right. It's so fun. I feel like we because we're in so many homes every day, and our customers are so loyal. Chem-Dry has an 85+% loyalty rate. Our customers, they say once you've used Chem-Dry, you'll never use another carpet cleaning company again because they're just so loyal. And I attribute that in part to the innovation, and I definitely believe a big part of it is that service excellence, right? But, people will all the time call and say, hey, I'd really like, Technician Joe to come to my house. He did such a great job last time. Can you send him again? We train everybody so that everybody is going to do as well as Technician Joe does. But knowing that they're asking, that means they've, people only have their carpets cleaned once a year. So it's not like, it's for them to remember a guy's name. That's pretty powerful, and it's a testament to what the franchisees have been able to build and how passionate we are about the company.
Wow, that's something. If you could look into a crystal ball, Ed, I mean, it could be a year, 3 years, 5 years down the road. I mean, where do you see Chem-Dry?
I feel like for Chem-Dry, we cover 93% of the U.S. population right now, and so we've got solid coverage. We're a non-exclusive territory model, so that allows us to add more licenses in many of our higher populated territories. And I see us achieving some market share gains over the next few years. I think we have some wind at our backs for a handful of reasons, in part because of COVID and more focus on clean. Also, our franchisees and some of the changes they've made in their business over the last 5 years or so put them in a better position to go capture more market share. National awareness campaigns, all those things sort of will work together, I think, to put us in that better market share position. But I would say, so I think all that's fairly organic. And then I think there's this piece around healthier franchisees. And, over my 15 years in the company, I've always wanted to have as a check on any kind of investment or activity we've been making to say, is this going to make our franchisees be healthier and more stable, more secure in their business? And I feel like that's only getting better. You talked about technology. These technology moves are making it easier to run a successful business than ever before. I like to think of it as a franchise in a box, and the more that we can, program and just automate, that becomes easier for the franchisee. Then they can focus on the things they're most passionate about rather than running numbers and data. I can feed it to them, and they can get the tools they need to make good decisions. I think all that is coming together in such a beautiful way. We'll look back at some of the decisions we've made over the last 5 or so years and go, gosh, our network is in such a healthier space today than we were, say, 20, 25 years ago.
Wow, this is very powerful. What's the best way for our listeners, Ed, to get more information on Chem-Dry? Of course, there's the franchise opportunity, but even maybe the service itself. Are there any websites you can kind of direct them to?
Of course. Well, I tell you, we are so proud of Chem-Dry and all that it does. So, franchise opportunities, ChemDryFranchise.com. But if you're just interested in having a Chem-Dry experience and letting us take care of any of the surfaces in your home in a really expertise way, Chemdry.com, ChemDry.com, or just call us at 1-800-ChemDry. We'll connect you with a local franchise, and I tell you, they will bend over backwards to make sure that you're delighted.
That's fantastic. Well, I can't tell you how much I've enjoyed talking to you today, and I'd like to, if it's okay with you, invite you back in over the next year or two as Chem-Dry continues to grow,
Marty.
because I've been very impressed with the brand for a long time, so it's been a privilege and an honor for me to speak with you today.
All right. Thank you, Marty. I really appreciate that. Would love to.
This has been my pleasure, Ed. And we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? Franchise Interviews, an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com. Or you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Today's great quote in franchising is being brought to you by
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, everyone. This is Marty McDermott, the president of Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. You know, we've been hosting Franchise Interviews many years now, and during that time, we've had some incredible quotes and lessons on our show. And if you go to our About Us page on franchiseinterviews.com, you'll take notice on why we started the podcast and radio show Franchise Interviews, and it suggests that every business has a story. And that's really been our experience in doing all of these podcasts and radio shows. Every show we do, you'll notice that every franchisor, every franchisee has an amazing story related to franchising. Today's Great Quote in Franchising podcast comes from Tony Luffy. And Tony Luffy is the Chief Executive Officer of the Marlowe Investment Group. And the Marlowe Investment Group are franchise owners of some very popular franchise systems such as Little Caesars, Sizzler, Jack in the Box, Arby's, Church's Chicken, and most recently Sears Appliance and Hardware stores. And Tony talks about the difference between opportunity and regret. There's another great quote relating to opportunity. And again, we talk a lot about opportunity on our weekly radio show. It's said that luck is when opportunity meets preparation. But let's hear what Tony says about the difference between opportunity and regret.
That we've been able to do on a large scale.
It's amazing. If you go back to the beginning, Tony, I mean, were your goals, I mean, today, I mean, you're as large as like 200 plus units, but I mean, back then, I mean, when you go back to the beginning, I mean, was that your goal in the beginning, or was this kind of like just like a natural progression over time?
It's both. Really, when I, in the early 90s, when I finally became a partner, a 10% partner of a small company, I wanted to get to 50 units before I turned 50. So I don't know if that goal was really feasible in my head, but that was the dream. But the goal, the most important part of it was I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I wanted to be independent, and I wanted to allow my ability to manage people and work with people to develop into something that was bigger. I didn't know the size, nor did I plan for it to be a number of revenue, whether it's 10 million or 5 million, whatever it was.
Right,
it was really finding a way to make a living and support my family, at the same time satisfying my personal need, which is to be an entrepreneur. And really, once that took place, it was more about the opportunities that came our way. And I always say the difference between opportunity and regret is being ready. So if you're ready, you see the opportunity as an opportunity. Otherwise, you spend a lifetime regretting the fact that you missed the opportunity. So to me, it's about being ready, and I've always worked so hard to make sure that we are ready for whenever that opportunity came our way.
That's fantastic. We have this great quotes in franchising podcast. We're gonna put that quote in there, Tony, if you don't mind. I think that's very powerful. Maybe we could talk a little bit about your company. I mean, the Marlowe Investment Group. I mean,
If you'd like to hear that whole interview with Tony Luffy, all you have to do is go to franchiseinterviews.com, and you can go to our franchises listed alphabetically page and simply go to the Marlowe Investment Group, and you can hear that whole interview. We have that interview also in our About Us page, and you can go to franchise interviews by category as well and go under the food category, because that's where most of Tony's franchises are located within his portfolio. And lastly, we'd just like to thank everyone for making this podcast such a tremendous success. It's amazing how many people have listened to the podcast over the years, so it's really been wonderful, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise